But we're talking about big tech censoring us. I don't want them plugged into my goddamn brain.
Yeah, it's probably a bad idea.
Yes, it is, but it's also sort of this inevitable, if you extrapolate from where we are now with technology to where we're going to be in 20, 30 years. And when you look at things like Neuralink and you look at a lot of this technology that they're coming up with.
But we're talking about big tech censoring us. I don't want them plugged into my goddamn brain.
Yeah, it's probably a bad idea. It seems like a bad idea to have them invade your body.
Well, when you're talking about centralized power like that, it is a bad idea.
It's not a good idea.
It's a bad idea to give them
All
power
I'm saying
over
is,
speech.
Joe, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm very excited to be here tonight, and I really appreciate you. We have to get people to debate the fact that there's people, engineers and technocrats, choosing their course, and that the public is not involved in deciding that course.
Well, I hope people are starting to understand when you see the White House press secretary get banned from Twitter, when you see the New York Post links get banned from Twitter, I hope people are starting to understand that giving people power, giving large groups power over whether it's national discourse, whether it's policy, any of these things, it's bad. It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
It's
Exactly.
a bad idea.
You don't want to give Alex Jones power.
The founding fathers, although they didn't predict technology, they didn't predict the internet, they did predict what happens when you give human beings ultimate power.
Right.
I mean,
power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
so Joe, you just said it. So let me ask this question. Because, see, you got a huge audience. We can really change the world right now. I think we've done a good...
No one's listening.
No, they're listening.
There's no one listening.
If you want to change the world, you go on Alyssa Milano's show.
That's the show.
Yeah.
Dude.
No.
I only get 3 times as many listeners as her.
People that are zombies don't matter. I'm sorry about being mean.
I'm sure she won't take zombie offense.
Let me tell you,
I don't think zombies.
Did you guys hear what I said?
Yeah.
Listen, you can look at Tony Podesta or John Podesta and laugh at them. They run the Democratic Party. It came out 2 months ago in the New York Times bragging that they were in the meeting when they were wargaming on thousands of people listening on a telephone call. They go, we're not going to concede, and we're going to have the country break up, and we're going to have secession, and we're going to call for the UN to invade America.
How fucked up would it be if all this stuff actually comes true the way you're
describing it?
If this happens,
this will be fucking insane. I have to use it. Can I use the
Yeah,
bathroom?
go ahead. But when people are talking about, be careful with that camera. Don't bump that camera.
But I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying they're saying it. Because if it doesn't happen, I'll be glad. But they're like, oh, Jones is saying this is happening.
No, I know you will be glad.
They're literally saying
but if this does happen, this podcast can be heavily criticized, right? We are all aware of this. But when we knew that coming in. But when this goes down, if this goes down the way you're describing it, how eerie would this be?
Well, it would be very eerie. It would be very scary because, I'll tell you, this is what they're saying they're going to do. Now, I hope they don't do it. But they are saying that they're going to contest the election when they lose. And if Trump tries to declare it, big tech has implemented this AI system that's going to block hundreds of millions of Americans from being able to say Trump won election night.
Yeah. And
so that's why election night is so spectacular.
And some people can say, well, there's never been voter fraud before, or voter fraud has been so minuscule in the past. That is true. But however, the ability to vote by mail in advance never really existed like it exists now.
Exactly.
And
80 million ballots put out there. 80 million ballots put out there as a total wild card.
So who is counting all these ballots?
It's the locales. It's whoever grabs them. It's whoever puts in the false names. There's been a bunch of people arrested for...
Right, but if you're in a democratically controlled state, and so who is controlling and counting those ballots?
Brian Redband.
He's a good guy. He'll tell us the truth.
Brian, get over here real quick. He's over for 2 minutes.
Okay.
We need Brian. No, I mean, seriously, I don't know what's going to happen, Joe. I know the Democrat chief strategist says we're going to contest the election. We're going to break the country up like Civil War 1862, and we're going to do all this, and we're going to say that. Go ahead.
They found water on the moon.
Oh, bye. Awesome.
They did find water on the moon. 6 months before they said that, Buzz Aldrin called me up.
And he said there's water on the moon?
And he goes, they're going to crash an Indian probe in there. It's like, 2007 or something. They're going to crash an Indian probe on the moon. I want you to know we already crashed one. They're going to find the water. I was like, thank you, Buzz Aldrin.
So he called you up?
Yep.
Does Buzz call you often?
No, he's called me like 3 times.
Are you ever shocked? Are you like, he's like, it's Alex's Buzz Aldrin.
It actually got like 20 million views for the thing about YouTube. He was on the show one time. He goes, my secretary really likes you. He goes, you see a hottie? You're looking, I'm doing this. I'm like, well, yes, sir. And he goes, there is the moon of Mars that is where the real obelisk is, 2001. And the aliens created the pyramids. And I just wanted to tell you, Alex, you got to...
What? He said the aliens created the pyramids?
Yeah, and there was an obelisk on Mars.
I heard that
listening?
part.
Yeah.
That's not as shocking. The Buzz Aldrin said the aliens created the pyramids?
I'm telling you, I was contacted by Buzz Aldrin's secretary. And
Okay.
I'm not making this up. It's just real.
I don't believe you are.
And it's just like, whenever this was, like 12 years ago, whatever, 10 years ago, whatever it was. Like, hey, Buzz Aldrin wants to come on. So we checked. It's Buzz Aldrin. He wants to talk about his new book. But once he gets on, he goes, it is the soul moon, Choron, or whatever it's called. Look up the moon of I want off memory. It's I get this stuff wrong sometimes. Of Mars. And he goes, that is where the true obelisk is, and that will give us the data tapes to go to the next level. And I just wanted you to know that because you're a good person, that the pyramids were created by aliens, and we're doing important work.
There he is. Buzz Aldrin admits aliens built the pyramids and Phobos monument. Oh, the monolith.
Yeah, he said it after he talked to me on C-SPAN, yeah. And
So he
Phobos,
said it? He really said aliens built the pyramids?
I swear to God.
This guy really went off the reservation. Like, you think NASA's like doing a better vetting process now? Because this guy really.
Well, he's had tough times.
Well, he just endorsed Trump.
Oh, did he?
Why did he endorse Trump? All the military endorsed Trump. All the police unions.
But listen, I'm not
Trump.
bragging. I don't know why. I thought he had him on about a book he wrote. He starts telling me about aliens, the pyramids, and the freaking...
Let me ask you this. What did you think about the Pentagon saying recently that they've recovered crafts that are not of this world?
I think it's probably true.
I think it's probably true as well.
I think we're like the ditch, like a movie theater.
When I talked to...
there's stuff in the ditch. Like,
Yeah.
When I talked to Commander Fravor, who is the guy who saw that the Tic Tac UFO off the coast of San Diego, the way he describes it and the video footage that they got of this thing, and his take on it is fucking chilling.
Yeah.
That thing went from 60,000 feet
Tic-tac.
above Tic Tac.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a Tic Tac.
that's Joe's new code name. It's Tic Tac.
I thought it was the TikTok UFO. I'm like,
No.
wait, what?
Yeah, you look.
It's a huge problem.
No, it's this little Tic Tac thing there.
TikToking in the house.
What did he say about it?
Yeah.
He said that this thing went from 60,000 feet above sea level to 1 inside of a second.
Wow.
They said it defied propulsion by any understanding that we have of physics. The way it moved was insane. It was actively blocking tracking systems, which is an act of war.
That's nothing to do. They block all the radars.
You could listen to him on my podcast, but I would actually recommend you listen to him on Lex Friedman's podcast. It's available on YouTube, and Lex does an amazing job of talking to him and breaking down.
Let's do that,
technical
Joe. What do you
aspects.
think the universe is? What do you think? Let's talk real. What's the secret of the universe?
Totally legit report says Buzz Aldrin saw aliens when he was up in space. Oh. Well, that's not
Joe, is that you in the photo?
They said that
I won't drink that. How
they
dare you?
reached out to his people when they said that it's bogus and we don't know where it came from.
It's bogus. We don't know where it
Well,
came from.
he came on my show and said that.
The pyramid thing? The pyramid quote? He said it's bogus?
The UFO
Yeah.
thing.
Well, maybe they pulled him aside.
But Joe,
Buzz.
let's have fun here.
Lay off the
Everybody's
weed.
watching. This is an epic podcast. Part 3, Joe Rogan. I want to know. So what do you think runs the universe? What do you think the secret is? Who are the DMT elves? When's the last time you took DMT?
It's been a couple of years. I don't think that there is any doubt that there's other life out there. It's a matter of if it contacts us regularly, whether or not it's contacted us, or why it comes and why it visits. Or Jacques Vallée, I believe, I think his perception is not that they're from another planet, but that would be probably the least spectacular answer, and that they could be interdimensional travelers. Some people believe that they're time travel. And Jacques Vallée is the guy who Steven Spielberg, he modeled that French scientist in Close Encounters of the Third Kind after him. He's a really, really interesting guy. And he's
That's
been
what I
talking about
personally
this
believe
forever.
is it's interdimensional.
It could be that. It could be that our understanding of reality itself is very limited. It's like, if you wave your hand above certain insects, they have no idea you're even there, right? They lack the ability to detect it. That we have senses that we assume are the only senses that are available. And it is entirely likely that there are many dimensions that we don't have access to. right? And this is the quantum physicists and all those guys that write the shit on yellow legal pads that you don't understand. They all believe there's many dimensions outside
There's no
of the
doubt to
dimensions
that.
we're
That's
aware
where
of.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I think the universe is insanely huge, and they're finding life-compatible planets on a daily basis. There's hundreds of them now.
So I agree with you. Let me ask this question then. What do we do about this corrupt political elite trying to make us look at them and follow them? How do we break free of them?
Well, no, that's a different thing of the universe. But my question is, like, why are they telling us now that they've acquired these ships, or that they have access to these things, or that they know these things are real? You know, Bob Lazar has basically been describing exactly that, and exactly the same way since 1989, when he was first hiding. When he was on George Knapp's television show in Vegas, and they had him out only as a silhouette. And then he eventually came out and said that he was a propulsion expert that was brought to Area S4, and they've tried to discredit him, and they've tried to talk. But one of the things that he said was he talked about Element 115, and that this was something that they used to propel these crafts, and it was something that it could change gravity, can bend gravity, and propel itself in a way that is not like any propulsion system that we use now, which essentially you have to push something out the back to make it go forward, whether it's flames or, you know, a rocket or anything else, like even an airplane, right? It propels things forward. And what he was saying is that what this Element 115 is allowing them to do is to somehow or another bend space and time, somehow or another bend gravity. They
Hold
don't,
space.
but they don't know how it works. They don't know what it's doing, but
Well,
they
let's
know
talk about
it
this.
operates on this element.
Let's talk about this.
Hold on. They know it operates on this element that was only theoretical until, I think it was 2013 or 2015. They used a particle collider, and they detected it. And then actual Element 115, that it was actually real.
And that's what the superconducting supercolliders are for.
Well, I mean, they're for detecting many things, right?
Cyclotrons.
Well, these particle colliders are for detecting many different things that are theoretical, and they find these things to be true, and then it becomes, you know, scientific record. What I think is that we are apes. We are these weird talking apes that are in an adolescent stage of technological evolution, and what we might be looking at when we see these tic-tac UFOs and other things, we might be looking at something from the future. We might be looking at time travelers. We might be looking at something that comes back and visits
Joe, I think
us.
that's a good approximation, but we're a little bit beyond just apes. Clearly, we're from outside the planet, and there's something bigger going on. Like this life form's happening on board. This is a major test, and so we can sit there and just say, "Oh, we're just apes."
No, I don't mean that. What I mean by we're just apes is that in comparison to what we could be eventually through evolution,
You're saying we're in a metamorphosis.
yeah, we're a lot smarter than apes, right? The regular apes that are in
Most of us.
in the zoo or in
Well,
in
some of the
jungle.
public's dumber than that.
Yeah.
Right. I was about to say
Some of them are dumber.
Paint with a brush.
But we are nowhere near where our potential lies.
Right.
Our potential lies far, far, far in advance of what we are currently. And I think some of this has to do with some of these symbiotic technologies that we're talking about, like Neuralink and a lot of these things that are being proposed that are eventually going to find their way into the human body and
I agree,
accelerate.
but are they going to
accelerate
censor
our ability?
Are they going to censor our ability?
Well,
See, because we're already growing, and all I see from big tech is censorship. So is the Neuralink going to censor what I do?
Well,
it'll plug in and make me feel great and hit my pleasure centers.
Well, when you're talking about human emotions and greed and power and all these different things, these are all biological issues that we have that the idea is will be transcended